Welcome to Anything Cricket. Let's talk. We're broadcasting from the studios of the Caribbean Media Corporation, Bridgetown, Barbados. We've got a packed program for you this time around. Lots of action in cricket in the region and further afield. We've also got some very special guests. To my left, Terry Inniss, a former Division I cricketer who took an early retirement package. And to my right, the former West Indies opening batsman. Since then, he has done a number of things in cricket. I'm talking about Philo Wallace. We're also going to be joined by Ayana Holder and Wayne Holder. And in fact, it will be Wayne Holder who will be leading a discussion on the 18th performance against India when we come back. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the mighty Grinder Highway. Call 538-9990. Don't let annoying pests bug you. Lick them for 6. Omega Pest Control is the perfect solution. We are experts in termite and pest eradication, specialized mosquito treatments, foundation, residential, commercial, and industrial treatments. Call us day or night or visit us at our office located at Fieldside Drive, Long Gap, St. Michael. Omega Pest Control. Call 425-5954, 231-6526, or email us at opcl@caribsurf.com.
Yes, I'm here with Philo Wallace and Ayana Holder, and we are here to discuss the recently concluded West Indies A versus India A series of matches, the 5 one-days and the 3 test matches. Almost totally dominated by India A, and lots of concerns, I believe, for West Indies fans with the rather dismal, if I may say, performance by the West Indies team. I'll start with Philo. You would have followed the series from the beginning right through till the end, and your impressions.
Well, obviously, Wayne, good evening and thanks for having me back on the show. The West Indies A team against India A in the ODI series, I thought was pathetic. They played 5 one-day games and we lost that series 4-1. The Indian A obviously came to the Caribbean. The games were played in Antigua, and they acclimatized a lot better. And they obviously realized the conditions in Antigua were not one where you can go and score runs at breakneck pace. You had to pace yourself and build innings. And obviously that is what the Indian A team batsmen did during the one-day series, and they came up trumps with lots of competitive totals. West Indies A, on the other hand, they struggled to assess conditions, game situations, game awareness, and did not put in the performances that we were expecting. Only in one game where the captain, Ralston Chase, got over 50, and we got a very competitive total that we won that game. But other than that, it was a very, very poor ODI series from the West Indies A team perspective. When you look at the Test series, again, the Indians dominated. They won comfortably in Antigua, and then they went down to Trinidad and they won a lot more, even comfortable at the Queen's Park Oval. We managed a draw in the final one thanks to common sense prevailing at the end. But again, someone who sits on a task force for Cricket West Indies who are formulating policies, we want to see better performances coming from the A teams. Let the players be more aware of the significance and the importance of A team series, because they're the future of West Indies cricket moving into the international level. So the performances in the A team in the ODIs and the Test matches were not really heartwarming. It seems like you're starting all over again rather than really building and continuing to the building blocks. So obviously it's just another series that has not been really fruitful for West Indies cricket.
And the batting of the West Indies A team left so much to be desired. Are you concerned, though, about the level, the quality of batsmanship we're seeing even at that higher level?
Yeah, but batsmanship is a common B. and concern is a capital C. Because when you look at our batsmen in the setup in the West Indies A team, I'm not even going to region. In that A team setup, they had some very good, well, we would consider good batsmen, but the consistency is what is really hurting us who are actually involved in the cricket. Because in order to be good or even great, you have to be consistent. And our batsmen, particularly in that A team, were not consistent at all. And we didn't see any very good scores, no hundreds. Well, we would consider good batsmen. The Indian A team members came here and scored hundreds. Really, but yet the West Indian players who are actually involved in the cricket, they get 50. Because in order to be good or even they will score 50 in the first innings and the second innings, they wouldn't even get into double figures. Were not consistent. These are worrying signs. And we didn't see any very good scores, no hundreds of West Indies. Well, we consider good batsmen. The Indian A team members lacking. But yet the West Indian players who are actually get touch on the bowlers because you have not even in order to be our bowlers as well, then they will score 50 in the first few of them second innings because they wouldn't even get to double figures. Were not as a big concern for us. And we didn't see any very good scores, no hundreds of
Ayana, you were actually on the ground consistency
but yet the West Indian players who are actually touch on the bowlers because in order to be our bowlers as well, then they will score 50 in the first few of them second innings because they wouldn't even get to double figures. Were not as a big concern for us. And we didn't see any very good scores, no hundreds of
Ayana, you were actually on the ground consistency
in the one-day series, we had a few bright sparks, especially with the ball. And then there were times in the game where the guys dropped the ball and allowed the opposition to get to a target which became challenging. In the game that we won, we honestly thought that India should not have gotten as close as they got. I mean, in the end, they won by like 5 runs. But at one point, they had India 7 wickets down for like 160 or 170. And to recover from 160 or 170 to 290 is phenomenal. And that shows the inconsistency in the team. And I mean, this is a team that had approximately about 7 or 8 players that would have represented West Indies at the international level. And that is very disappointing because you expect that they would put up some sort of fight and challenge the India A cricketers. So as Philo said, consistency is the issue. We are too inconsistent. I mean, sometimes I tell myself that we are consistently inconsistent.
And well, yes, you mentioned a few bright sparks. Would you like to expand on what were those bright moments for the West Indies A?
In the one-day format of the game, you know, Romario Shepherd, he showed some encouraging signs that he has potential to go on to the next level with a lot of work, you know. We would like to see these guys play more A team series so that when a player in the international team becomes unavailable, whether it's for injury or whatever, you can easily slip them in. I mean, your bench must always be strong. He was the only player that I could really call from the top of my mind. Akeem Jordan, who is new to the A team setup, coming off a good Super 50, he had a good first game, but he would have to have some more cricket under his belt to really show if he's consistent and could really take wickets regularly. In the unofficial test, the only bowler that really stood out is Shamar Holder. And even in the last unofficial test, it seemed as though Miguel Cummins pulled up and Shamar didn't have any support from the other bowlers to restrict the Indians to a manageable target that we could have even thought of winning this final test. And the guys eventually got up to 370, Shubman Gill making 204, Vihari getting a century. And I mean, West Indies batsmen didn't even get centuries. So that tells you the story of the series overall.
Back to you, Philo. We talked a lot about the West Indies, but the India A lineup, well, for both series, lots of experience, lots of quality players. Any particular highlights as far as you're concerned coming from the Indians?
Attitude is different. they see the Indian A team sees themselves as the next generation of Indian international cricketers. And that is the whole difference between the India A and the West Indies A. Performances aside, when you look at the attitudes of those young Indian batsmen, and cricketers, let's say generally, they know that the next level for them is either matching up with Virat Kohli and suiting up in an international arena. All West Indies A team players don't feel that way. And that is something that is lacking and something that needs to be corrected. The Indian A squad, yes, experience, and they had a very good captain. You look at guys like Shubman Gill and those guys who've been around international cricket, and they weren't selected for the main team. They wanted to prove a point.
But yes, because we had that situation. We talked about the West Indian players who would have had exposure at the highest international level. The same thing bore out for the Indians. They also had a number of players who would have seen action in internationals, the Viharis and well, not Shubman Gill, he hasn't made the
he went to New Zealand.
Yeah, Argowal
Yeah.
and those guys, Isor and Saha, Rhythm and Saha. I mean,
Coming back
but
into cricket.
those guys came to the fore. They showed you that they belonged to a level above 18.
Right, because they want to play international cricket. And the thing is, you want to, that's what we want out of West Indies A teams. We want our West Indies A team members to push down that door, force the senior selectors to say, look, a replacement is there and we can replace that player with the A team guy because you've shown it. Who in West Indies A team that you can pick today to go into a West Indies senior team from the performances in the last series against India A?
I'm going to answer Yana that question.
Really and truly, it's just throwing the names in a bag and picking one, because there isn't any one particular player that really put their hand up. I mean, Blackwood and Cornwall were involved in a partnership in the first unofficial test. And when Blackwood got to 50, I told myself, today is your day to carry West Indies on your back and make a century. Show the selectors why you should be in the international team. And he did the same thing that he does all the time. Get to 50, charge down the pitch, and it's stumped. And it really shows you that in his mind, he's not thinking about, he clearly doesn't seem to be thinking about getting to the century, because it's a mind thing, and he just threw it away. Cornwall quickly followed. And the thing about the Indians that I really admire is that those guys cherish their wicket. If you want to get me out, you have to bowl the ball to get me out. I'm not going to give you my wicket, because the determination is there. Our batsmen don't show that determination, so I honestly cannot give you a particular player who I believe should be selected to just go on to the international level.
I suspect you're being diplomatic with me, though, because there's a particular player in the West Indies team, West Indies A team, in the test matches. Oh, let me rephrase the question.
I know.
Are there any other players? Are there any players, especially new to the cricketing arena, who you believe have announced themselves and made a name for themselves during this series? You mentioned Romario Shepherd earlier.
Yes. What I can tell you is Shamar Holder finished the series with 15 wickets, including a 5-wicket haul. What I think that would do is show the Barbados Pride selectors why he should become a permanent fixture in the Pride team in the Professional Cricket League, and why he shouldn't just play 1 or 2 matches and be thrown aside. Because clearly, the West Indies selectors, having played the Under-19 World Cup, have invested in him, and now he is showing why he should be a consistent fixture on the park.
So you are recommending that he may just have scratched the surface, not
Yes.
yet ready for the higher level?
I don't think he is ready for the higher level, because having played just about 10 or 11 first-class matches, he still has a bit to learn, and the more cricket he plays, the more chance he has to really succeed at the international level. You won't just be throwing him in at the deep end at the international level, and then when he fails, because of how our system is, one guy fails and then you throw him away, and then 2 years later you ask, but wait, what become of so and so? So the more cricket he plays, the more readily available he is when he gets to the international level.
We're going to take a break here. We'll be right back.
Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Grinder Highway. Call 538-9990.
And we are back with Philo, Wallace, and Ayana Holder. The discussion on the West Indies A versus India A series continues. And Philo, you wanted to get in on some topics, some subjects raised by Ayana in her last contribution, where we were asking about players from the West Indies A who stood out and made their presence felt during the series.
Well, I'm a Shimar Holder fan, and I would like everyone to know that. I thought that when he went up to Bangladesh, he was a breath of fresh air along with Alzari Joseph. And I saw them last year with West Indies B under the guidance of Tony Gray. And I thought that Tony Gray did a fantastic job in handling those two young charges. They're both very well in tandem as a pair. And I saw a future for Shimar Holder and Alzari Joseph as the leaders of West Indies bowling attack at the international level. And in that A team, he stood out. And one of the beauties about it is that here's a young man who was an investment. He went off to Australia as well. He went to Hampshire as well. He had an injury. Also, he's come off of that injury. But the beauty of him in this A team setup is that he's playing cricket consistently. Every week there's cricket. So his memory muscle is better. He's remembering his body shape. He's remembering his strike pattern. He's remembering to bowl in a consistent line, a consistent length, and obviously he's fit and his pace is up. He pulled through Miguel Cummins in this A-team setup. He obviously was the leader of the bowlers, and I'm quite happy that Ayana could identify him as a standout in our bowling, because we have to look for the future for fast bowlers, and I believe that Shimar Holder and Alzari Joseph, who's coming off injury and being treated in India by the Mumbai Indians, and I want to thank them for looking after the young man, and I know that when he comes back on the park, he's going to be special. And once Shimar Holder can continue to do what he's doing, I see down the road that he could be a part of West Indies international cricket, and I will hope that it is sooner rather than later, because to me, he's tick all the boxes that we're looking for a fast bowler, and you just wanted to go from strength to strength.
15 wickets at an average of less than 23. Very, very commendable performance. Against
a very good India A-team batting.
Against a very strong India A-team
on some slow pitches. Fantastic.
Very well done. A breath of fresh air, though. In the final test, the West Indies A were able to fight back towards the end and earn themselves a draw. It was a well-earned draw, and it came through some diligent batting from the likes of Jeremy Solizano, who really stood out in both innings. He carried his bat for 69 not out in the first innings, and then he returned to make 92 in the second inning in that rearguard effort. And he was very unfortunate, out to a fantastic catch. I think it was by Argowal off the release spinner, the captain Vihari, the delivery outside the off stump, and the fielder really diving far away to his left and hauling in a tremendous catch. So he was a bit unlucky on that, not to get to the 100. But there was another young man who really caught my eye and caught my fancy in that second innings of that third test. A young man by the name of Brandon King out of Jamaica. Yes, I don't know if you watched a lot of the cricket, but very, very good footwork, very positive in his stroke play, and he reminded of the typical old West Indies player.
Well, I'm happy for Jeremy Solizano, because when I was in Trinidad, I played cricket with his uncle, Joseph Solizano. Well, there's two uncles and Bobby Solizano. We played for Tri-Slide, so Jeremy was always in our thoughts. And one thing about Jeremy is that he moved to Queen's Park Cricket Club, and Again, you have the facilities, the indoor facilities, so you can practice day and night. And he started to bulk up. He started to get a little stronger by going into the gym. And he had a relatively good season for Trinidad and Tobago as well in the 4-day competition. And he batted with a lot of assurance in the beginning of last season, and then he fell away, but then he picked back up. So I'm happy that he could carry his bat through the first innings against a good Indian team. But then he complemented the first innings by getting 92 in the second. So obviously he had to work harder. And he showed that he has the application and what is required as an opening batsman to bat deep into the innings. And obviously for the West Indies, he had to hold on for George, fantastic. But Brandon King, I smiled because his name came to me through a lady named Carol Bedford, who used to be, well, she's Jamaican, but she used to be in Antigua as well, working for Cricket West Indies. And she told me that there's this young boy in Jamaica called Brandon King who's very special. I saw him during the CPL, and I said, this guy can play, but this freak, he has a little freaky spell in him. But obviously to hear of his innings today, to hear of his innings today was commendable, because again, here's a young man who is on the fringe, who doesn't play a lot of 4-day cricket, but he's been given an opportunity to represent West Indies here against India here. And he showed, look, I have the temperament. Once given the opportunity, I can make something out of it. And I think that these young cricketers, particularly people like Brandon King, who has the ability to knock the ball away and see themselves as white ball specialists, can come into a 4-day setup and show tremendous application and get runs. So Brandon King, he has to look at himself as being a three-dimensional cricketer, play all 3 formats successfully. Because I think that the 4-day game will help Brandon King with his white ball cricket.
And sorry, Yana, go ahead.
What I would like to see happen with this squad in particular is that they all have good first-class seasons coming up. And even if they don't, keep them together, because coming off of this series, you want to see the coaches should be looking at the areas that they need to improve in and give them another series to see if they have made any improvements. And then if need be, make changes. But don't be too fast to say, well, you failed in the home first-class season, we're not going to take you anymore. We're just going to give someone who probably just has a shock season and say, well, you scored 500 runs, we're going to give you a chance. But give them some time to develop as a unit and see where you can go from there.
Quite pertinent place to bring our discussion to a conclusion. I thank you both.
Yep.
Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi, or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990. Don't let annoying pests bug you. Lick them for 6. Omega Pest Control is the perfect solution. We are experts in termite and pest eradication, specialized mosquito treatments, foundation, residential, commercial, and industrial treatments. Call us day or night, or visit us at our office located at Fieldside Drive, Long Gap, St. Michael. Omega Pest Control. Call 425-5954, 231-6526, or email us at opcl@caribsurf.com. Welcome back, and a very stimulating discussion about the 18 performances. And since then, we've also had the shorter format being featured in terms of the senior players playing in the T20 competition. Well, I said the T20 competition, the T20 series against India. And, to use a term that you hear from time to time, Terry, the Indians wiped the floor with them.
Yes, yeah, they did. And simply because, they're number 2 in the world and we're number 9.
Mm-hmm.
And
So no surprises there.
yeah, no, I don't really think it's a bit.
But we're also world champions.
Yeah, but that has been a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. And a different team.
Right, yes. And not only that, remember that every dog has his day, right? And that was their day, or their tournament. But you have noticed that there has been a steady decline after that.
After you're talking
Well,
about after the
before
West
and
Indies won the World Cup. You're
Yeah.
talking about West Indies.
Yes.
But that wasn't that decline somewhat created really by the management at the time. I mean, the first thing we did after winning the World Cup was to fire the captain. Then we let go a couple of the coaches. We picked a couple of fights with some of the players, and it continued to go downhill.
Yeah, well, that is tantamount.
Like a good opening batsman, Philo Wallace opted to leave that one alone.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
you're
I'll take
a
that.
retired off spinner,
Yeah,
so you can tackle.
yeah, and I don't need bother
you
you.
lower the batsman, go after everything.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
But I'm not surprised by anything that comes in West Indies cricket, to be honest with you. Because I am on record as you know, we have not really created a world-class cricketer for a while.
But while you're on that subject, though, I got some lashes from that statement. I had to explain that the views of the guests are not necessarily the views of the producers.
Yeah.
But
anybody could-
I was asked, what about Gail and Chandapal?
Yes, but you're looking at, in the last 20 years, we produced Gill and Chanapal.
Well, then you may need to say what they produced. Then.
Yeah, so
you're talking
so
about when
what
they
I'm-
would have been, when they would have started their
Yes,
career.
because
Okay.
I'm talking about between 1999 and 2019.
So you're talking
Right?
about players starting during
Yeah.
that time. Okay.
Okay.
I get the point.
I mean, stats don't lie, right?
If you've taken Gail and Chandapal out of it for that reason, then I don't think that anyone would have a reasonable argument to kind of.
Yeah, because listen, look, we are in denial, right? We keep saying all the time, we turn in a corner, this proverbial corner. That's the longest corner I've ever seen since 1995, right? We have not turned that corner yet. We are number 9 in the world.
But remember, if you're talking T20 cricket, which
Yes.
is what we're focusing on here,
Uh-huh.
the T20 side under Darren Sammy won 2
Yes,
World
they did.
Championships.
Yes, they did.
And came and was knocked out at the semi-final stage in another one under the same Sammy, aided by rain. So you actually had 3 outstanding appearances in the World T20 competition.
Yes.
Under Sammy. What I'm saying is that since then, we have created a way of destroying that. Hello.
I don't think it's creating a way of
You fired the
destroying it.
captain on the day that you've won.
But the captain made some statements that are untoward. And I am a very strong advocate that if you sit at the round table, there's certain things that you have to say. Because when you get back to the round table, then you can dust your laundry. And I was disappointed in what Darren Sammy said. And it's just unfortunate it happened, and we have to move on.
Professional sport, Philo Wallace, would a LeBron James or you call the name an iconic player, and you may want to say Sammy is not an iconic player, but here's a winning captain.
Yeah, but-
hold on, when we had Brian Lara, an iconic player of the highest level, we were not winning and we were not happy. Chris Gayle was the captain of the West Indies side, was performing, but we were not winning. Hence, enter Darren Sammy. Was that the best way to deal with a player who had in the, let's say, as far as the organizers were concerned or the administrators were concerned, had maybe stepped out of bounds? Is the only option to fire?
No, I think if you're telling me that the step out of bounds,
professional
maybe.
sport?
This is my take on it, Philip. Darren Sammy should have known better than to vent his frustration in India to the international audience. You return to the region, you will have your day to speak to the board and vent your problems in the Caribbean. Obviously, maybe the steps that were taken were draconian, but you have to stop. The buck has to stop somewhere.
So you think
maybe
the end
Lara
justifies the
and maybe
means,
the Gales and those guys got away with murder because administrators were not as strong. And Darren Sammy
Okay,
found
so-
himself
so-
in an environment where the administrators were a bit more serious than the rest.
So our
of
difference
them.
then, Philo, is that I'm saying it was created by the administrators. You're saying it was created with justification. That's
It
our
was.
difference. But it was created.
But it wasn't created.
It was created
Sammy
because
caused it by
it was
saying what
not-
he said.
He did.
When I say
You need to-
created, I'm talking about, it was not a situation where the players had run their course and were no longer effective because they weren't bowling well or batting well. That happens in cricket. Okay, where players get to the end of their usefulness, so to speak. Channel Paul himself, as great as he was not as productive in his last year as he had been before. So that's a natural course of things as far as I'm concerned. If you look at the team that was on the park for the final, and you look at the team that was put out 6 months later, that's not natural. That was created.
Yeah, but you have to understand there is no person in the world. I don't care which sport you play, which job you are in. You do not speak badly
You're
about your
talking about Darren Sammy. I'm talking
your
about the team.
employers, but-
Darren Sammy was one. I believe that it was handled badly, and it was not handled in a professional way. But let us not argue over that for the next 2 years.
No.
I'm saying Darren Sammy was one player. If you look at the team that played in the final and the team that was put out 6 months later,
But you're surprised at anything like that?
I never said I was surprised. I was
Because-
simply identifying the fact that we created the problem, and I stand by that. Darren Sammy or no Darren Sammy, we created the problem. Didn't we fire the coaches? Didn't we fire the other players? It was chaos.
But
it was open season to destroy the T20 team.
Yeah, but I've not seen anything that would convince me that we would do anything that's right, because I'm hoping that this group, this new president and stuff, he will come up with some, you do something different. However, I'm a little suspect because I think he has a lot of paying back to do for another year or so before he starts to do his stuff. So my thing is I'm hoping, and I hope that Philo will be part of anything a young person and he's got dynamic like this, that we would try to look at the processes and procedures in West Indies cricket at every territorial level, because that's the only way we can improve. I am a Bajan. My loyalty is to Barbados. But there's no loyalty to West Indies. If I go and play for West Indies, there's a real loyalty for West Indies. I'm loyal to Barbados because I'm a Bajan. I grew up Bajan.
And you're saying that's the mentality of our players?
But I'm saying, no, what I'm saying to you is that there's no loyalty when it comes to, there's no, like, an English player will be loyal to England. England will look after that person, they will do their stuff, right? In the West Indies, it's slightly different. Because a fellow would score in Barbados, would score runs, or a fellow in St. Lucia making team. But then he goes back to St. Lucia. What is he doing? Right? Because England would be able to say, okay, this fellow gotta go here, he gotta go there. But in West Indies, when he goes to St. Lucia, is he Cricket West Indies saying, well, this is where you gotta eat, this is where you gotta do, this is how many hours you gotta put in cricket, that sort of stuff. And that to me, right, will be the resurgence of West Indies cricket when that is done.
Philo, Terry's talking about paying back. I don't know who will be paid back or who's going to do the paying, but the World Cup, the T20 World Cup is next year. You put your stamp of approval on the fact that we made changes immediately after our success 2 years ago, and we're still struggling. What's the plan now, between now and the World Cup? It's talking about paying back on one hand, but you've also got to find a team.
Well, we have a squad that just competed against India.
I'm talking about a successful team.
But we just pick a squad that played against India. And obviously you will have to work from that squad. We don't have a T20 competition from the regional setup. We have CPL. How much the CPL is going to impact on West Indies selectors looking for T20 players, I do not know.
Some may say that was part of the contrived disruption.
Well, I don't know if
whereby the West Indies Cricket Board at the time gave up all rights to T20 cricket.
Well, we're the only cricketing board in the world that don't have rights to T20 cricket. But we have to start. We've started.
Maybe begin to see where I was going.
Well, we've started, Philip, in Miami, in Florida, against India. We lost those two T20 games. We lost a series in 3-0. So that's where we've started with this T20 team. Carlos Bradford is the captain, and he has to be worked with in order, if we're going to take him into next year as our T20 captain for the World Cup in Australia. He has to obviously work at on certain aspect of his leadership and his game as well. Because I was very disappointed he did not bowl a lot in the T20 series against India that just concluded, because he has to see himself as a leader and lead from in front. And then T20 is so dynamic now, you have to play situations very, very well. I didn't think that we played the situations well and we ended up being beaten. One thing I can admire about the India team, when they chase runs, they don't go for big shots very early. They let to solidify the innings first. And then bat deep. One of the first 4 batsmen will look to bat deep into those 20 overs and then launch. And these are things that we need to work on when you go to the World Cup in Australia. The pitches are going to be better, one thing. The fields are going to be bigger. And certainly, you've got to be fit. Because we jog a lot of singles. And the Indians were sprinting twos, even sometimes looking for threes. And these are areas that we need to improve in. And then obviously, when you look at the CPL, Carlos has been given the captaincy of the franchise of St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. So that is also going to be a trial for him. And I hope that the selectors and those people who are there having a keen eye for West Indies cricket, the talent scouts, maybe if they come on board, that they'll be looking to look at key areas in those CPL matches of some of the personnel that they would have identified who would be part of that World Cup setup. So I will hope that the CPL will be used as maybe a trial, but don't let the players know. That has to be within the administration of West Indies cricket, because a number of players will be showcased, and hopefully the CPL will be that showcase piece where we can choose maybe a 30-member squad coming out of that CPL for the World Cup.
Would you take, is Carlos Brathwaite, are you satisfied that Carlos Brathwaite is your captain for the next T20 World Cup?
Well, he captained the squad against India in the series that just concluded. I can't foresee down the future, but obviously if he puts in
I'm
good
talking about your
performances.
choice, if you had the choice. The option.
I will have to see his performances over the next 8 to 10 months as captain and as a T20 player.
But if he goes that long, though, it would be difficult to change him that close to the
You think so? Why?
You would
There'll
want
be
to
others.
introduce a new captain?
Well, it's not about
in the
introducing a
World
new
Cup
captain. It's about grooming people. We have to have people in the ready. Carlos Brathwaite has been around. He's been leading off for about 2 years in the T20 setup, and we are hoping that we will see improvements as we go along. We just lost a series 3-0. I know that they don't play a lot of T20 cricket, which should be one of the bug things. But we didn't play a lot of T20 cricket. We were late to get it to have a camp.
That happened last time as well.
So we keep making the same excuses. I think that when we
There's
are
no need to make an excuse then. because
no,
we're-
I think that when we are professionals, there's certain allowances that you have to make.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the Caribbean, logistics are problems. But you as a professional, you're going to be looking after yourself. If you know that there's T20 cricket coming up and you are going to be involved, you have to start be on the ready. So that when you get called for that squad, you know you have to do is just go and top up. But these are things that need to be communicated to our players. They need to know who is being looked at and the roles that is being offered to them in the T20 setup. If the players don't know their roles or they don't know who be looking at them for West Indies cricket, then they'll just go helter-skelter. West Indies cricket need to start identifying future players. And those players need to know. India Air has done it. England Lions have done it. Pakistan is doing it. Australia, just in the Ashes, they had a trial match in England. Australia Air versus the rest. It was Graham Hicks side versus Ian Healy. And they played a trial match. So we have to start doing those things, identifying the players that we are looking at, so these players can start preparing themselves for the international cricket, particularly the T20 World Cup that's coming up, because we're defending champions.
Yeah, well, what Philo said is I commendable. But I'm saying if you're a professional, nobody don't have to tell me to be ready, right?
You're ready.
I'm ready. I'm a professional. I'm getting paid to play cricket, right? So the only thing that should surprise me is if I'm in Sharjah and they want me to fly to West Indies the next day. That should be a surprise. It cannot be that I now go and know I got to get myself in shape and I got to be this and I got to be that. I'm a professional cricketer. And I'm saying if I'm a professional T20 cricketer, right, I should be looking to play T20 cricket in my gap, if I have
What
to.
makes you a professional cricketer, though? The fact that you get paid or the mental approach to the whole process?
Well, it is, really and truly, being a professional is mental.
And if it is, as I suspect you would have said that, what then prepares our players to have that mentality?
Well, not much in the Caribbean, to be honest with you, right? Because we've made some decisions that are mind-boggling. The first decision is, and I'm talking about players' perspective now, right? And I'm a player guy, but I'm telling you that some of our players made some decisions that boggles the mind for a professional. For example, you came home from India. There's no way that a thinking professional, with people having ticket sales and TV deals and that sort of thing, that you could come home and think that because you have a problem with your contract or with your board, that you could just up and leave like that. We are really, we should be happy that we are not bankrupt, right? The other thing is this situation with Andre Russell, right? I mean, he had surgery in June.
Well, just
Yes.
at the tail end of the World Cup, so to
Right.
speak. Yeah.
So he had surgery on his knee, and he was picked in a vaccine setup and see he was unavailable. Then to end up playing in Canada.
But that's part of the rehab, we were told.
But how could that be?
Well, I can't figure it out either, but I'm sure Philo will help us.
No, what I'm saying, if I pick you, I'm saying that you were good enough, you were obviously well enough to play. If you were telling me that you are not well enough to play for West Indies, but you're well enough to go to Canada to play in this new.
It's part of the rehab. So.
And after that, this same rehab process and this same tournament, that a couple of teams almost didn't play again because they didn't get paid. So it is not like he left for the money, because it couldn't be the money that he was leaving for. I am saying to you, you cannot, the thinking of our professionals, it boggles the mind. Right? There's no way that you could tell me, we try to justify the fact that he went into Canada and after the fact saying that it's rehab. I can't see that. I mean, I find that incongruous.
You can't see it, Philo. Can you shed some light on that point?
No, well, it's bamboozling to me, the Andre Russell
I guess no light
saga.
coming from
No light at all. There are lights in the studio. When you look at Andre Russell, I think he's a good T20 cricketer. And West Indies would love to have him fully fit on the park. Unfortunately, he has a knee that is troublesome. He had a surgery done, and he was declared fit by by the medical panel of Cricket West Indies. He was selected a T20 squad. We were the interim chairman of selectors, Robert Haynes, said that he's playing as a batsman and he's fit. Then a couple of days later, he got struck on his knee in the nets in Canada while practicing for his franchise in the GT20, and they said he's out for the rest of the series. But then he's still playing in Canada. So it is strange that you cannot represent West Indies, but you can play in the GT20 in Canada for your franchise. And of a standard, I watched the GT20, and I think the standard is a little low. I don't think that. I don't think it's a standard that really people should be shouting about. For some reason, it doesn't look as hyped as it should be. The quality of the cricket is just ordinary cricket. So to have Russell playing in that and not representing West Indies against India, it bamboozles me. But there's been a statement made by Cricket West Indies, by the CEO, and we want to dissect that statement, but that is what they're saying. That is what Cricket West Indies is saying, that he's there as part of his rehab. And obviously it's something that was discussed with Cricket West Indies and Russell. So I will hope that he rehabs fully and we get him back on the park for Cricket West Indies as soon as possible. Because if we're looking at the T20 World Cup next year, Russell obviously has to be one of the ingredients. And I would believe that he has been told that. And Cricket West Indies will be working with him to get him 150% fit for Australia.
Well, as you said, the T20 World Cup is next year, but we've got some cricket action before that. It's called Test Cricket. And we're going to have a chat about that when we come back. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990. Welcome back. We talked about the performance of the A team. We had a really lively discussion on T20 as well, equally lively to what we had with the A team. But there are those who believe that the real cricket is about test cricket. And we've got a test series against India, West Indies up against India. And, well, a team that carries the hopes of the whole region, Wayne Holder. What are your thoughts on the squad selected to face India? Any surprises there?
Mildly surprised with the inclusion of Raheem Cornwall, and I say mildly because there have been some doubts expressed in certain circles about his suitability for international cricket. Nothing to do with his returns as an all-round cricketer, but more to do with matters of his weight and his size and his abilities. There have been doubts about his abilities in the field. But personally, I am happy that he has gotten his chance, you know, because it would have been a travesty if Raheem Cornwall, with all that he has done, at every level that he has played, never got the opportunity that I thought he deserved to showcase what he can do at the highest level. Now, we will have that opportunity.
I used to think that Cornwall being left out was more to do with people being fearful, the powers that be being fearful that he wouldn't make the grade. But more recently, I've been thinking that the fear is that he may actually succeed. And I started to be a bit cynical maybe in wondering if it was that there was a fear that he would succeed and then we would be stuck with this cricketer who didn't fit the profile. So his selection now has eased my mind a bit. I don't know how Ayana sees it, but are you equally surprised as Wayne that Cornwall has been selected?
Mildly surprised.
Well, I am glad that he has finally been selected because he has been successful in the first class competition for the last almost 5 years, and I believe that just as everyone else who performs and gets the opportunity to showcase their skills on the international scene, that Cornwall can as well. I mean, he goes on all of the A-team tours that West Indies plays, whether it is in the West Indies or overseas in another cricketing territory. And it's about time that we see what he can do at the international level. If Cornwall fails at the international level, then you can tell me, yes, he is not suitable to play, but I think that he definitely deserves the opportunity, and I would really love to see him make his test debut at Antigua come August 22nd.
If he does fail at Test cricket, and it's going to be interesting to see how we determine that and when we determine that, but if he does fail, how does that separate him from the long list of players we've tried over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years?
That's a tough question, really, because he performs at the A-team level, which is just first class, just a touch under the international level, and then it might tell us something about the quality of the level under the international level.
But you see, the other players who would have played and failed would have also played at that lower level. My point being, man, that there are those who are just waiting for him to fail to say, well, he never should have been played in the first place. My point always has been, what are we fearful of? He has earned the right to play, and if he fails, and we will hope in the interest of West Indies cricket that he doesn't, but if he fails, he would simply be another West Indies cricketer who hasn't made the grade. If he succeeds, well then we have, you know, a player that we can work with.
I don't know, maybe we suffer from some kind of phobia. As you mentioned, we know of the contentious discussion that is fairly rife concerning sexual orientation. We talk about homophobia. What is the phobia involved with people who are big? There's a name for that?
I'm sure there is.
But I think that we're being unfair to the young man. You know, he has earned, as far as I'm concerned, the right to step up to the West Indies level. Interestingly, he's the only specialist spinner named in the side. And
You're trying to recapture that old debate we had a couple of years ago?
no, we're talking about specialist spinner.
Okay.
You know?
I'll let that pass.
Yes, well, I would have left that long time ago. Devendra Bishop, who was the incumbent, has finally been discarded, may be a bit too harsh, because he's still a young man, he still has a chance to regain his form and probably regain his place. But we see the exit of Devendra Bishop, in discussing the team all together. And we're welcoming back Kimo Paul to the West Indies test lineup. I remember last season he did suffer some injury.
Yes, he did.
But I think another one of those very, very promising prospects who holds the future of West Indies. These West Indies cricket. He is one of the number of players himself, and the Alzari Joseph, the O'Shane Thomases, hopefully the Shamar Holders, these guys. So it is heartening to see the inclusion of Cornwall and then the return of Kimo Paul. Shamar Brooks has also made this squad, and Darren Bravo is back. So it makes for interesting times. They're going to be playing against a very, very powerful India team who are keen to dominate. We know the team has taken on, the India team I'm talking about, has taken on the personality of their leader. And he is a very passionate, winning, he's in it to win it. You can always see that in everything he does in the game. So the Indians are not going to be easing up. So a really stern test for the West Indies team.
I'm going to revisit this spin issue though. Some years ago, Again and I had a big debate about Chase the spinner. The fact that Cornwall is the only specialist spinner in the squad, do you see that as maybe placing more responsibility on Chase to utilize his off-spin bowling?
After the last Test series when West Indies played England and Chase got another 5-wicket haul, I remember him mentioning the work that he had been doing with his spin coach. And I think that he has also begun to see himself as an integral part of the bowling unit for the West Indies. So I believe that he appreciates and is willing to carry the responsibility of being that spin bowler. And I mean, even fulfilling the all-rounder duty and performing with both bat and ball.
And if I may return to our debate, quote unquote, that you talked about, interestingly, when we did have that debate, Chase would have been included in the team as one of 4 bowlers. He's now one of 5, and I think that is his place in the team anyway.
I'm not going to get drawn into that, Vin. But certainly you mentioned Bravo is back. Before we get to the middle order, John Campbell and Craig Brathwaite put together a number of significant partnerships in the series against England, a successful series. Neither really ended with off-the-chart individual stats, but as a team, as a unit, they were very effective. Where are we going in terms of that aspect of our cricket? You have had discussion about the A team and the options there. You've got Brathwaite, maybe not maximizing his own potential over the last year or so. What do you expect from the openers?
Well, as you said, Craig Brathwaite now very experienced as a player. As a matter of fact, one of the seniors in this West Indies side as far as the batting unit is concerned. And one expects him to play the role of the anchor of this West Indies team that the other batsmen would be looking to bat around. That is the role cut out for Craig Brathwaite. He has been playing now international cricket for quite a while. I have detected that a number of the opposition teams seems to have worked out certain chinks in Craig's technique. And I think it is the onus is on him now to counter that by improving whatever in any areas that he may be weak. But he plays a very important part. Campbell still earning his stripes, still making his way, trying to establish himself. As you said, quite promising in the England series. He's also had some good returns in the white ball from time to time. But he now has to advance his claims and advance his status to actually achieve some kind of permanency in the West Indies side.
If I can tap into the John Campbell topic, I was a little disappointed in his selection in the T20 team because he really had a poor one-day series with the A team, and he really isn't in any form. And to carry him into T20 where it's like fast food, you are not giving him the adequate time to prepare for the upcoming T20 test series, because he's going to play, he just played the T20 series, you're going to go into the one-day series, and then you're going to finish with the test series. So he really doesn't have that foundation to show that he will be, well, he will probably have to find form in this upcoming one-day series.
Seems to me as if you're pointing in the direction of a suggestion that maybe he should have played in the 18 test series.
He was in the 18 test series,
but remained.
but because, yes, he should have remained and not should have been selected, and should not have been selected in the T20 International Series to face India.
One word comes to mind here listening to this debate: planning. Have you planned well?
It surely doesn't seem that way, because I don't even recall John Campbell having any phenomenal T20 performances to really be included in the T20 series.
But then again, you talk about planning, Philip, and I go back to last year. I was aghast when the West Indies management took a decision to utilize the team selected for the World Cup to play in the T20 series against England. I mean, serious T20 international cricket where you have advertised, you've asked people to buy tickets and invest their money to see a T20 contest, and you took a 50-over side and put them to play against England in T20 series, in a serious T20 series.
Some may add
that lack of planning.
That they took the T20 team and took it to the World Cup as well.
Well, that takes it a little further, but let's just remember again, we talk about the planning aspect of it. I really was taken aback with that. I never agreed that should have happened.
Especially after we had just won against Bangladesh in December 2-1, with a very young team that you thought would be carrying, that you would be carrying forward for the T20 World Cup coming up.
Getting back to this test team though, I think we know what to expect from the likes of Gabriel, Roach, Holder. Then we'll see if Paul makes the final cut. I don't think there's much that we can really say about the fast bowlers. I think they virtually picked themselves. But our middle order batting has not always been dependable and stable. What can we expect?
Well, again, I go back to this name, Darren Bravo. I believe that he has a crucial role to play in West Indies cricket. If he regains that form and the composure that we knew him to have before his altercation with certain authorities, and he took an extended break away from the game. Since he has returned,
Trying to play catch up now.
well, basically, but I think he would be the key. It's either he gets it together, and I talk about Craig Brathwaite being the anchor. I think now Darren Bravo would have to be that leader in the middle order.
Planning again though, because I was a bit disappointed that he wasn't included in the A-team setup. Many people were concerned that he was left out of the one-day internationals. That didn't concern me at all. We've got a test series coming up. We don't see Darren Bravo in his current form, his current struggles. He just came back from a World Cup where he had every opportunity, or where he would have been expected, and it would have been most welcome if he had led the batting and helped us to do well. That didn't happen because clearly he was out of form. So I don't see his exclusion from a one-day international series or T20 or whatever as significant. I think we need to get Darren Bravo in form for the test match and for the test series. And I really was disappointed that he wasn't, he didn't play a big role in the A-team setup for the test.
I totally agree with you, but sadly it's a little too late for us to...
On the theme of planning though. Yeah,
Yes.
On that theme of planning. Yeah.
I agree.
So maybe we've got to look forward and maybe look at how the planning is done.
Looking at the rest of the middle order, though, I mean, we're going to I think Shea Hope would have had a welcome, well-earned rest, missing out on the T20 series, because I think he easily could have made that side. That is where John Campbell came in. That is a position that I would have held for a Shea Hope. But like I said, he earned the rest, and I thought that it was required. So he is going to be his position in the team is also one that we need to search and look at very carefully. His returns at Test cricket have been very, very.
But you're jumping ahead of me, and in fact, I was going to put both of you on the spot just as we're about to close this segment by asking who's the best batsman in the West Indies Test side?
Who is the?
What's your vote? Who's the best batsman in the West Indies Test side? And you'll see where I'm going with this in a way.
Form or altogether?
Well, your best. How do you determine how you judge your best? Yeah.
Well, my best batsman in West Indies is Darren Bravo.
Okay, and yours?
I don't get in this best thing. You know?
I threw that out because that question came up some time ago, and there were those in the discussion at the time who said Shea Hope. And I think that sometimes we fail to recognize the amount of work that we need to do. Shea Hope's batting average is less than 30. And I think that should really...
If you ask who is the best looking batsman,
The eye test again. I know a guy who believes that the eye test should be totally tossed away.
then Shea Hope might win because you know when he plays a cover drive, you could walk out and come up here again.
And then he's good, he's good.
A cover drive has never won a test match
That's true.
in itself. It may be the icing on the cake if there are 4 runs required and someone plays a lovely cover drive. But I've never heard a team win a test match by a cover drive. You win by runs or wickets.
Shea Hope has had his moments, and more than just moments. I mean, we only have to go back to the 2 centuries in the test match at England on the last visit by the West Indies team. So
Moment, then you're saying.
we know that he has shown what he can do. What we want to see is a greater output and more consistency.
And I think we can say that for pretty much all of our players because the only batsman, speaking off the top of my head, who is close to 40 in terms of a batting average is Bravo. And I think he's slipped down below that. He's slipped down below that. The others are all behind him. And therefore, a lot of work for our batsmen.
But to carry the discussion even further, I have a serious concern about the quality of batsmanship in the West Indies. In the earlier discussion, we would have talked about producing world-class players. There's not, outside of the potential that Darren Bravo, well, not potential, the performances that we have seen from Darren Bravo consistently in his heyday, we really don't have a world-class batsman
I'm glad you
in
retracted
our
that.
lineup.
I'm glad you shifted there because I think Steve Smith is averaging somewhere around 60 and Darren Bravo is somewhere around 38, 39. So I'm glad
he
you
has
returned
fallen.
world class.
Well,
But the
yes.
point is taken. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990. Embarrassment of riches in anything cricket, let's talk because we have had a discussion on a wide variety of things today. It's all come to an end. That's our show, folks. Join us again soon, though, for another episode of Anything Cricket, Let's Talk.